Welcome to this video tutorial. Today, I'm going to explain how to create mathematical formulas in Word using ChatGPT. We're going to address a common issue you may have encountered when working with ChatGPT. I'm referring to copying mathematical formulas into Word for later editing, which is not always straightforward. Quite the opposite, in fact. While ChatGPT's output looks great, achieving such a nicely appearance in Word can be challenging. Let me illustrate the problem. Suppose we ask ChatGPT to solve this system of equations using Kramer's method. Now, it is generating the response. We are not going to get into whether it's correct or not because that is not the point. Instead, I want to show you the issue. We copy the text, which is in LaTeX format, paste it into Word, select the equation we want to edit, go to the equation tool, which is in the Insert tab, select LaTeX, and then try to convert it into professional format. However, as you can see, it often doesn't do the job. In this case, it didn't understand the instruction B matrix, although it is perfectly valid in LaTeX programming language. This is because Word doesn't support all LaTeX commands. On top of that, we'd have to convert each formula manually, one by one, which is time-consuming and tedious. That's why, after getting fed up with dealing with this issue, I decided to create a workflow that might solve the problem, and I'd like to share it with you. Let me show you how it works. First, we go back to ChatGPT. Once we have the appropriate answer, we are going to edit this output with the aid of two GPTs. For those who are not familiar with GPTs, these are autonomous agents that ChatGPT Plus users can create by providing a set of instructions, typically to handle specialized and repetitive tasks. As I mentioned, we're going to use two consecutive customized ChatGPT agents. The first one is called ChatGPT LaTeX Equations to Microsoft Word, which is specialized in checking compatibility. The second one is called LaTeX Delimiter Assistant, and it will tag every formula in the text. The reason for splitting the tasks between two different GPTs is that it helps me to better control the quality of the output and make it easier to identify where any issue arises. Also, it helps keep the instructions concise, making it more likely to follow them accurately. So, there are two ways to use it. You can either invoke this GPT model right in your current conversation by using the command, or you can open the GPT Explorer and start a new conversation with the agent there. In this case, we will use this second method. We've copied the output, and we're bringing it into this new conversation with ChatGPT LaTeX Equations to Microsoft Word. Before pasting it, I'll use this suggested conversation starter. Notice that our GPT now asks me to provide the text. I paste the text I've just copied and send it to it. What this GPT does is to identify any formulas Word won't recognize and adjust them accordingly. Now that we have passed our output through a compatibility filter, we could either go ahead and repeat the process to convert it to professional mode, just as I showed you earlier when I explained what the problem was. However, if we have several formulas you might benefit from continuing the workflow, I propose and move on to the next GPT. Let's copy the output from the first GPT and search for our second GPT called LaTeX Delimiter Assistant. The task of this second GPT is to include delimiters in the formulas. Why? Because by doing so, we can therefore use a macro that will scan the entire document, find all the formulas, and switch them directly into professional style. It sounds good, right? Let's see how we do it. Again, we use one of those suggested prompts to start. Then, it asks us for the text. We paste the text we have just copied and notice how it now inserts markers before and after each formula in the text. which is precisely what the macro will recognize to do its job. By default, it uses these math word-based delimiters because the macro is specifically designed to work with these particular markers. Now that we have the output completed, we copy the code using this copy assistant and bring it into Word. Importantly, we need to paste it without formatting, just the text. And finally, we are going to use the macro for converting all the formulas at once. But before that, I need to explain how to install and run the macro in Microsoft Word. It is quite simple. We search for macros using the search tool, or we can look for it in the Developer tab in the ribbon. If you don't see the Developer tab, you can make it available through Configuration. In any case, we'll see a panel with active macros. From here, we can create one. We open the script, copy the macro's name, paste it where it says macro name. Then we click Create. This will open the Visual Basic Editor, where we'll paste our entire script. We go back to the script, copy the code, and paste it into the section reserved for our macro replacing the pre-existing draft. And that's it. Now, we can close the editor. All that's left to do is to run the macro. To do this, we search for our macros and run the one we just set up. And now is when the magic happens. Voila! Our text now has all the formulas converted into a professional format. However, I always recommend double-checking that everything matches the original output. Because, as you know, ChatGPT sometimes hallucinates and can make mistakes, but in my experience, it has performed quite well. And when something hasn't turned out right, I've pointed it out, and it has corrected it. Beyond that, keep in mind that ChatGPT is a tool and not a substitute for our own critical thinking, understanding, and diligent study. So that's it. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and if it's made your work easier, give this video a like and leave a good rating for the GPTs. And if not, feel free to leave me a comment with suggestions on how I can improve this solution. Bye-bye.